What's up, guys? Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. Make sure to follow my Twitter in the description down below and join the Discord server before you start the video. And let's get straight to this. And so, pretty much, guys, President Trump is in a very strong position to win the next election cycle. Very, very strong. And what we're going to do is we're basically going to go through all 50 states, look at all of the polling averages for these states, and determine where they're going to go as of right now. Now, pretty much basically, Washington, right? We'll go to the first state here. There are two plus 10 polls, which basically puts Donald Trump losing it at a likely margin. That puts President Joe Biden winning it by 10 points. This is a state Joe Biden won by 19. And so it is clearly a reduction from last cycle. Right now, currently, Biden probably leads this average by about 13 points. So he actually leads this by more than what he wins Washington by, according to the polls, which is actually kind of interesting. California's polling average is about a 21-point lead, which is an 8-point decrease from the last cycle as of right now. If we go to the state of Alaska, Donald Trump has one poll out of here, which is a plus 12 poll, and it is without undecideds, or at least I think there are some undecideds, but he gets over 50% pretty comfortably. All of these deep red Republican states, we're basically going to put them in the safe category because Donald Trump's position, from last cycle has gotten a lot better. In all the states that basically went safe Republican, there really isn't any reason for them to not go safe Republican this time. And so, because of that, I am all going to characterize all of these as safe already. If we go to the next state, Colorado, you could see the average only has Biden up by 6 percentage points there, which is pretty interesting. And if we go to the state of New Mexico, this average would probably end up being like a plus 7, plus 8 average. And so that actually puts Biden at a bigger margin in New Mexico than Colorado, which may actually be affected by third party voting, by the way, because a lot of third party votes tend to there's a lot of third party voting that tends to occur in Colorado when the margin's really big. For example, Biden won New Mexico by about 10 points. Clinton only won it by 8, but that was because there was a big third party surge. Same thing in Colorado here. You could see Donald Trump got 43% in the state. In 2016, Hillary was only at 48, Biden got 55%, and Trump's at 41. And right now, it seems like Trump is sitting at about 37% in the aggregate, while Biden's sitting at 44. This is kind of weird because the margin should be bigger than, well, actually no, that is right, but it just looks wrong. But he's 100% going to get a bigger vote share than 37%. That's not going to happen. If he got 31% in 2020, he's definitely not getting 37%. His approval rating has pretty much stabilized while Biden's has declined. And even though the state is left trending, I don't expect it to be a bigger victory than what it was in 2020. It could probably trend left, but I don't think it's going to swing left. Texas, right now, an 8-point lead for the former president as of right now, a huge commanding lead in the polls. He only led the aggregate here by 1, and he ended up winning it by almost 6. Next state here, Iowa. Trump's up by 11 points in 2020. Trump was up here by like what, 2 points in the aggregate, something like that. Just a food for thought. Hawaii, there is no polling data out of the state as of right now. However, based out of previous characterizations, it will be safe. However, I think the state will be much closer this time because of the Biden handling of the Maui fires from a couple years back. The next state is going to be the state of Illinois, which currently right now varies. However, it is basically like a 10-point, 11-point lead for the former, or for the incumbent president as of right now. South Carolina is a 16-point lead for President Trump. I left it out because this state did not go safe last time. Neither did Kansas, but I wasn't too sure about the average. But clearly, Trump is way ahead in South Carolina, and his average lead, I think, was only like plus 7, plus 8 back then. So that's also insane. Florida, there is no polling average because of how non-competitive the state's actually deemed to be. But in this case, I'll probably put the state in the safe category. There are a lot of polls here. Basically, in the beginning of the year, Trump was not leading by a lot, but he started gaining support as the year went on. So I'd probably put this in the likely category as of right now. If we go to the state of Ohio, President Trump is leading there by 10 points. He's leading there by almost the same margin that he's leading Iowa by. And not only that, in 2020, he only led the aggregate by like, I don't even think he led it. I think he was supposed to, he was losing the aggregate on election day. And now he's up by 10 points and he's above 50%. So Iowa and Ohio, Texas and Florida are basically guaranteed to go for the former president at this point in time. Even in Florida, you could probably average his, basically average out his, percentage of the vote, basically almost 50%. He's probably sitting at about 48, 49% in Florida. In Texas, he's sitting at 48%. And he was able to get over 50% last time. And so the next state on here is going to be the state of Virginia. Right now, Biden leads by 4.3 percentage points according to the polling average as of right now. Now for Nebraska's second, there is no polling data, but based out of my careful assumptions and analysis, I'm going to put it in the lean Democratic column. It will probably get a little closer compared to last cycle just because there's a lot of things going on there. Now, the state of New York has been interesting because in the latest couple of polls, Biden hasn't really been, his vote share in the polls have fallen quite a bit to the point where he's even getting like 46%. And really, the last time Emerson did this state was back in October, and Biden was only leading by 15. And Siena has been doing a bunch of polls, and each time they do this poll, he's ended up basically going all the way down to 99%. There's even polls that have Trump at 40% in New York, which is pretty insane. Now, as of right now, you could say the aggregate probably has it at a likely margin for the incumbent president. If we were to look at a state like basically all these deep blue states are probably going to go blue, and a lot of them don't have polling data necessarily. So, because of that, I am going to characterize all these as safe Democrat. And for Maine's first, there is that one poll that they don't really have the polling data like that on here. I guess Maine, you could click it. Yeah, you see, right now, I'd say Trump probably leads the aggregate by like about, really the average ends up being like 5 points, or maybe it's like a lean margin, and then like Maine's second congressional district would be safe. So now we are basically up to the swing states. The first swing state here is the state of North Carolina, where Trump leads by 5 points and is about to touch 50% in the state. So that's already pretty insane. So he's leading the aggregate by 5, which is crazy to even think about. Now, if we go to New Hampshire, I don't know why I clicked Vermont. New Hampshire, he's up by 8 points in the aggregate, and Biden's actually above 50. So I am going to give him the state as right now by a likely margin. If we go to Georgia, Georgia has Trump up by 5 points, and he actually caught a surge here. He's actually above 50% in the aggregate. He's at 50.8% in the aggregate in Georgia. So at this point, I can't see him losing the state. And right now this video is mostly based off the polling averages, but you could see that he's leading the state by 5 points. Now it has shrunken a little bit. However, that is not a bad margin at all. If you were to apply the 2020 polling error, he'd still win by 4. So the next state is Arizona, where he actually has a bigger lead. And he's touching 49%, which is actually probably what about he got last time. Or maybe even it's a little bit higher than what he got last cycle. And Biden's all the way down at 43%, which is roughly where, candidates or Democrats sit in the state as a whole, from previous elections. So Arizona for a cycle might return back to its original status, at least for this cycle. Nevada, Trump's up by 4.3 percentage points, which is pretty interesting. And now there was a series of polls that did come out that, is the Hill Emerson that probably is bringing his totals down, like his margin down, but his actual raw vote share is going up because in a lot of these states he's actually above 50%, which is very interesting. And now for the final states, which include Minnesota, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. In Wisconsin, he's up by 1.2%, leading in Emerson by 4 points. If we go to Michigan, he's up in the state by about 3.7 percentage points, which is pretty insane. The Hill has it at a tie, which is interesting. However, like CNN released a poll, they have him up by 8. This poll has him up by 3. And Biden has not led a single poll here in a very long time. And even back in August, he was barely leading the aggregate. Trump overtook him in the aggregate at some point in October and has just been expanding and expanding. Biden was actually sitting all the way below at 40%. Now, Biden has slowly risen, but Donald Trump is still sitting at a clear 47.5%, which is a higher vote share than what he got in 2016, by the way, when he actually won the state. So that's also interesting. If you look at Pennsylvania, he's currently leading the aggregate by 0.6%. Biden had actually been leading the aggregate by quite a bit for some time in early, January, February because of that Susquehanna poll. If it wasn't for this poll, Trump would probably be leading the aggregate by way more. But because of that, now Donald Trump has actually taken the lead in Pennsylvania, which makes it tilt. And if we go to the state of Minnesota, Biden actually only leads it by 3. However, Biden is only sitting at 42% in the state, a state where he actually was able to get over 50% of the vote in. And so that is piquing my interest. I'm going to be watching that very carefully to see where that goes. But basically, Donald Trump is winning with 314 electoral college votes to Joe Biden's 224 electoral college votes as of right now. This is a little quick analysis of all of the polling averages from RCP. If you guys did enjoy this little quick snippet video, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell so you don't miss another video that I post, and please make sure to follow the Twitter in the description down below, as well as joining our Discord server so you can talk to our community. And guys, just one thing before I go, this guy Justin J has really been putting me onto some game right now. This guy really knows what he's talking about when it comes to multiple areas of life, self-improvement, dating, fitness. I've been watching this guy a lot and he's been helping me with a lot of mindset things, eating right, getting stuff together. So if you guys really need somebody that is like an older brother, that really wants to put you on game on everything in your life, make sure to go subscribe to Justin J. He's currently sitting at 63.8 subs. Let's try to get him to 65 by the end of the week. And so if you guys did enjoy the video, I really hope you did, and please make sure to stay tuned for more content like this, and I will see you guys very soon.